So why are we here? Basically because last time we were in Lisbon, we were, Elias and me, talking about the golden parkour era that seems to be forgotten for like the younger generation. And it was such an amazing and crazy parkour episode that we thought it's kind of like a treasure that got lost. It was like a specific area in the world, like Eastern Europe / Russia and like Ukraine, Lithuania, Latvia. And back then for us it was just like the Russians.
Russia, but obviously we know that it's like...
And these guys were training together a lot, even though if they were from different countries. So
like what was so crazy about that phase was that they were all super high level people, like many of them, and they were all kind of friends. And it was like compared to Europe, they all had their own style. So they were very different. While in Europe it was rather classical parkour, but Eastern people had already like different kind of styles, and from extreme to flowy, and everything was basically covered.
It felt like they were kind of ignoring what the rest of the world, like what was happening, and it was just a melting pot of different ideas. And
I feel like also in Europe, or probably like mostly England at that time, they had like a common goal, a common ideal of what to train towards to, like perfection of technique, and mainly focused on distance and stuff, and clean landings and stuff like that. Whereas the Eastern Europe guys, they basically just were, I reckon, playing around and finding their own way, what they enjoyed, finding their own style, finding their own purpose of why they
sure, definitely. And you wanted to do this video for a while, right? Because we were talking in Lisbon, and then we found out, we both are like very fascinated about that era. And
I said like I would like to do this video, but I don't have the time and it's so much work. And then someone said, let's do it together, which is perfect because all of us were in that phase, kind of like it was probably like,
I felt like I was a kid, but I wasn't. I was like grown up when I started parkour, 17, 18. But I felt like a kid at home on YouTube every day searching, and it was a good time. I remember.
Instagram didn't exist or just started like at the end of the phase, I would say.
What time period are we talking
Maybe
about?
That was part of killing.
I would say 2009 to 2014 or 15.
Something like that.
Something like that, something like
probably a bit later than 2009, because I feel like 2009 was like Oleg Worslov, Out of Time.
But they definitely started earlier, but it's like, when did we start watching?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I went to Shade's videos, and he had like 2007, and he was still doing like videos every day or something.
Obviously they must have all trained at that time already, but probably when we recognized
seeing them,
it was like
around 10 to 15, but maybe before,
I think
maybe
10
later.
to 15 would nail it
around
for me.
something like that.
So, and I think Oleg Worslov is like kind of the godfather of the Eastern Europe parkour, but I think he is kind of like slightly before that, and so probably the generation after him.
And you would see him occasionally training together with some of them, but it was like him and Shade and him and Bite. I remember they were doing like crazy stunts on a car and stuff like that. But mostly, I think he was before and maybe inspired a lot of them.
And even though we said Oleg Worslov is kind of slightly before the golden era, I want to show you some videos of him just to give you the context of kind of what was leading up to that golden era. So there was this video of him Russian climbing, which was one of the first viral parkour videos ever, I guess, and probably the reason for many of our generation to have started parkour. And it's so old, it's only available in 240p. It's kind of from the beginning of YouTube. And here are some clips to give you the vibe of that time.
Ta petite Marseillaise débarque des balles, ses rimes écorchées, dis-leur qu'une fois dedans, je sortirai plus des bas, dis-leur que je me fous de la tendance et de ce que les gens disent, que je compte brûler leurs normes qui voient le rap comme une marchandise. Laisse-moi écrire avant de mourir de l'intérieur, le stylo, mon arme pour que ma douleur interne meure. Je vois l'ennui qui pour rien se marrer, sera marré à ma folie si je me noie dans son raz-de-marée. Signant mon arrêt de mort, mais t'inquiète, je continue ma route pieds nus car la merde me colle au basket. J'ai vu l'époque, son mal ne suit pas sur les cartes, mon bien c'est bien sur mes potes et en cas de mal je retombe sur mes pattes. Je me fous de ce move et tous ces méchants, mon cœur regarde dans ton assiette. Moi je réconforte les gens de mon cœur, je vous laisse entre fous. Donc bon appétit à tous, bouffez-vous bien entre vous pendant que je vous regarde faire la cour. Je suis pas là pour le se balade, je le kick. Ce monde est malade et je le crie jusqu'à être aphone, car le fond n'est qu'un gouffre même s'ils ont maquillé.
Then in 2009 he released a video, Out of Time, and the title was really no exaggeration. It's really a timeless masterpiece. It's really genius on so many levels. It's probably hard to imagine what kind of impact this video had on the whole of parkour, but probably especially on the Eastern European parkour scene, which will be the topic of this podcast.
This shit is so damn hot. This shit is hot. Big Jew nigga, the host with the mostest. Find a nigga up where the dough and the toast is. Jose, I keep it up like posters. Slap the first nigga that plays me the closest. Still drunk, still grabbing choaches. Don't got cannons here looking for a head to melt. Hit you with 8 shots for the first one felt. That's how we do it round here, situation dealt. It's the Indiana Jones, funky Stone City Cabrones. Name ring like
time to be playing games with the same jokers. This grind don't stop, baby, I stay focused. Your whole gang stays bogus. You the type to draw a weapon, just to draw attention. I pull your heart out and leave you with your chest flaming. With no special effects by Wes Craven. It's like less raining, tech in the max spraying. Duck before you be on your back laying.
Okay, so let's start with the golden era, I would say. Should we start right away with Renat?
If people are switching off at some point, maybe they are still here now and they should hear this name.
Okay. Renat, what is he known for? Like, he was like basically a cat. Like, he had the ultimate smoothness level of movement.
Yeah, I remember the first time watching him. At the time, I was really obsessed with Ilabaka. Yeah. And I was trying to find other people moving similar to Ilabaka, and there was just nobody. Yeah. And then I saw Renat. Yeah. And I was like, holy fuck, he's the closest. That can get to that, I don't know, level of instinctful movement, touch, acrobatic ability.
Is a big point. It wasn't even a thing back then, like to talk about touch at all. But when I look at the videos now, that's really what it was. It was like so perfectly like adapting to the landing and having the perfect timing to make it look just so soft.
It's like that he was making hard things, so making it looking easy. So for people, like you had to have the eye to understand. A lot of people like, oh okay, but this guy doing double flip is crazier. But he was making it look so casual and chill. But if you understood, he was doing like that was a skill in itself to be able to do that.
You must have trained already for a while to really grasp how high level it was. Really.
Exactly.
And he wasn't like he was technically good, but like for example in acrobatics, he was not matching the other people of that era. Like I think he couldn't even do a cork, or maybe barely. But like
I feel
just
like that was by choice though. Then
probably he was not interested in that, I guess.
He was also one of the first to do just like rail flows, being creative and rolling on rails and stuff like that.
But for me, what made him like outstanding, besides like the soft movement, was that he kind of had a character while moving. So he was not coming up with lines and building it based on techniques like, and then I could do this hard trick. But he was like in some movie or something. Almost There's like these scenes where he's running through the forest like an animal, and he always
with a feather in his hair, making him more mistakes.
And also he looks like a Native American. I feel like he had almost like a spiritual or mystical character.
100%. And then he would do it like bare feet and like doing big running rail priest bare feet with the feather and like running through the forest and like doing flow stuff down like.
I have goosebumps.
But that was like kind of the feeling that you would get by watching him, and that was like kind of why he was like so stood out from a lot of the other people. And just like you could just roll down a hill. Just rolling down a hill, natural movement, but it would be like with the best flavor ever.
Yeah,
definitely.
He had like a special aura.
He
was glowing.
There's this one clip of him that I feel like everyone who knows him, it's like the favorite clip of him.
Yeah.
And it's a really simple thing if you look at it from a technical perspective. He's just descending down like these big drops, maybe 2 meters or something.
Oh, that clip.
Yeah. Like the way he does it makes the clip like really one of the most standout clips of all time.
It's crazy.
Like nobody else could make that look so cool.
Also,
did it.
It's a perfect example for that his focus was not the technique, but like the flavor, like the feeling, how he did it. And it's just like ultimate raw.
Expression, I guess. Like he has so much expression in the way he did it.
Crazy.
And even just like when he's landing, he's running and then he stops, he looks back and then he keeps running again. And it's so simple, but it's just like part of the style, right?
I have a funny story. Like the pants he has in the roof dropping run.
Yeah.
You know when
you had them hanging?
I wish. But Zulev was in Munich for the Fam Jam. And I was fanboying to Zulev a little bit about Renat. Like, do you know Renat? And tell me stuff about him.
What year is this?
That was 2014.
Okay.
And then I told him, like, I love this clip and the pants he wears, and I would like to have this pants. And then Zulev said, actually, I own the pants. Like, I have those pants.
Like
and then
his pants?
Those pants, specifically from that clip. And then he realized he's got it on them right at the moment. And it was like this white baggy pants. And we were like, oh!
Like not just the same type, but exactly the same pants.
Exactly those pants.
And you didn't buy them from him or something?
No, I don't know. They're friends. I don't know how it happened.
You could have had them hanging.
Yeah.
But that's funny. That's so random.
But I think you have to mention also that despite having this touch and this like animalistic kind of way of moving, he was fucking mental as well. He did like things at height and things with huge consequences. Very technical stuff also, like Cypher Priest.
And also the backflip he did on the bridge. Like
that plays into it as well. So it was not just
he had more.
I think another clip that stands out for me is that standing side flip pre onto the thin ledge over the drop.
Too good.
I mean, it's the same spot from the drop pre, right? Just without the wall. So it's a 2 meter drop to the wall and then maybe another 2 meters.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Really crazy, and the way he lands it is just
too good.
Absolutely nuts.
So where is that like located?
Rostov-on-Don.
So, like at the Black Sea, I think.
Okay.
And I think Renat lived pretty far out in some foresty kind of things. At least this is how it looks from videos. Like pretty lonesome and pretty much always the same spot. I think close to him lived Zulev, even though I'm not sure, might be wrong. He was also pretty interesting because he had a completely different style and he had a lot of breakdance influence.
And capoeira.
Capoeira,
yeah. Maybe some mix of that, yeah.
And that was also a new thing, basically, I think.
Yes, he had his own style. Like
definitely,
unique style.
Yeah, there were a few people dabbling in it, but he like really inserted it into his lines, like or whatever he was doing.
And he could do like hard flips.
I think he did he invented like the double Kong to Kongainer.
Yeah.
Double Kong.
But also massive parkour stuff, massive running.
Exactly.
It's like in the first video we've seen to the
edge.
The lip. Maybe he was doing improvised landing, but still.
Kongs, he was really good at Kongs. Dive Kongs, big ones.
Oh, dive Kongs, of course.
That was also like from that video, right? He's doing like the big
gainer
directly dive Kong.
Yeah.
I feel like he could dive Kong further than he could plyo.
Yeah. With wrists of steel.
Makes sense when he had the capoeira style, so strong wrists that he could also do big dive Kongs.
And he looked tiny, right? He looked very short, but
he is short.
Was there other people doing bigger dive Kongs than him?
No, I don't think so.
No. Insane.
No, I remember him coming to the Fam Jam 13, 14, 15, and he came into the gym. And the first thing he did was just setting up two boxes and just maxing out his dive.
Wow. Flexing on everybody.
Maybe.
Let me flex for a moment here.
I remember when, like the one running pre you were talking about, to the edge.
Yeah.
When I saw that it was like in my first 2 years of training, I think.
Yeah.
And me and my friends were watching the videos, and we were always making like top 10 lists and stuff of athletes. And I remember when I was saying that Zulav will be the next Phil Doyle, which was like so completely wrong, like style-wise.
For me, what stood out for him was the Imagination Land.
Series.
With the fence?
Yeah, where it was just really basic spots.
You can
like,
type it in.
There was a series, right?
Yeah, it was a series. Just like it was always filmed on one spot. Always a really shitty, empty spot. Mm-hmm. And he was just exploring it. And
it was about showing like being creative with a spot, and this is his part.
Yeah.
I would say you will have to mention like Vlad Aerovikov as like one of the main guys.
And just
standout guys.
And just when you say that name, a lot of people don't even know who he is. But we obviously
Which is crazy because back then he had like the fame level of nowadays, I don't know, as famous as you can get in parkour.
Меня зовут Влад. Тренируйтесь, развивайтесь и просто всем удачи.
Caesar, peep the ether, wrap it in a scroll, pass it off to Kamani. Lessons of exquisiteness.
I feel like him and Renat, both of them are my two favorites because they like a lot of Russians were like flip heavy, and they also did flips, but they also did like really good parkour, and they mixed it together, and they had a really nice flow at the same time. He had like some pure parkour moments where it's just like descending, big drops, lazy out, big drop, blah 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 blah. And then he also had like really good swings.
He was good in everything.
Yeah, really.
Except twisting.
He was not good at twisting?
He has 0 twists.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
He was doing a lot of backflip variations, right?
Yeah.
Really good at backflips.
Backflips.
Palm flips and
castaways.
Yeah.
He was the first I remember I saw do cast layout, I think.
Yeah, true.
Just a technicality, check it deep inside of my head like TV. The lifestyle I live so crooked you won't believe me. Lessons learned that I could walk a tightrope, even though I choke and choke.
Also low cast.
Absolutely low cast.
Like,
super low cast.
Like hip height. I remember like not being able to fathom doing the cast right from your hips. Like, and he would just boom and land up straight.
Yeah. There was one video of him and Oleg Cricket battling each other to make a low cast on like just a mat edge. But from mat to mat. But I don't know who won. What kind of video of...
There's
so many.
A lot of good ones.
Aggressive hills.
A lot
Aggressive hills.
Both of them are really good. Aggressive hills is the one that like abandoned bridge spot, right? He also had something that like I feel like the others didn't have. he was just moving in like with such a natural flow.
Yeah, I think he had a fluffy flow. Like it was not all like, you know, trick, but he had like a lot of steps in between.
Yeah,
sometimes
but his steps were nice.
Amazing. Yeah. Like even walking in between, like changing directions. And I feel like back then it was generally a thing that the choreography was not so perfectly planned.
Not so dense.
Or not so dense.
Or just not planned at all.
Very organic breathing.
In Europe, that wasn't such a thing. There was like minimizing of steps and like way more put into boxes than just regular movement or
maybe
natural movement.
Even runs were not even such a thing at that time. It was like usually mostly single jumps. Maybe in the beginning of that phase, like around the end, probably it was already completely different.
Yeah.
But if you think about like Phil Doyle or what the English people did in that time, it was mostly, if I remember rightly, 2 or 3 things maximum, if not one jump.
Yeah.
They might have actually brought up the run
lines
thing,
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
At least contributed.
Yeah.
And he was also just super bouncy and powerful.
Yeah, and not just bouncy. Like I remember we were in a gym in Germany somewhere, like spending a few days there. And he could like randomly do 1-arm chin-ups, but like 5 in a row in one arm. It was intense.
I remember a conversation between him and Joe Hugard. And Joe Hugard was like, I heard you can't do 1-arm chin-ups. Just show me one. And he was like,
crazy.
Ridiculous,
Superpowers.
Yeah.
Should we watch this?
Yeah, definitely. Let's watch it. We can hear it. That spot is also an iconic Russian spot. Is it the double layout spot?
Yes.
Yeah, he would do the swing game and free to the pillar. And also the one where he just drops his back into the thing and then drops out like poof.
There were the steps already.
And I think, if I remember correctly, his nickname was Blade or something.
True. Yeah, all the Russians had nicknames.
All the guys had nicknames. Like,
I
don't know. That was probably later, but the GOP guys and everyone like had nicknames.
True.
Even in the very early,
for example, or Phil Doyle.
No, true.
English people were sportsmen.
Yeah.
And just the energy of that spot, like this like gothic, dusty, grimy bridge.
All of this was mind blowing. This was like next level.
Yeah.
The whole video. This was a thing, like artistic edits or like other than sick.
Yeah, I think he was really good at backflip variations. And this one, And I think nobody had done that type of pump flip before.
No.
Probably he had never done it before.
Yeah.
In the outro, you can see how he's
like,
so simple, but you know, it's just expressing yourself.
Amazing.
In a cool way.
So cool. Yeah, in the outro, you can see how he puts cardboards on the floor for the palm flip as like a crash pad.
I have to tell this one story of this the spot where this video Aggressive Hills was filmed. I went there in like 2000. I think it was 2013. So I was training
Moscow, right?
Yeah, Moscow. Yeah.
Middle of the golden era, you were there.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I didn't know at the time, but it was an honor. Yeah. And we met up with Vlad, and he took us to this spot. and I was training for around 4 years, and I was pretty confident. I was like keen on training, and I was there, and I realized I can't train here because everything is at height. Like every gap, every pre, everything that you see in this video, it's all at height, and it's not just like 2-3 meters. It's 8 meters.
Wow.
So
that's crazy. And that
speaks
speaks to what he was just striding like nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so this was absolutely crazy to me that you can do something like this and it quickly became just a parkour tourism thing where I just looked at the stuff that he did and was like, I can't grasp what he actually did there. And I talked with him about that as well, and that I didn't realize from the video how fucking high everything is. And he told me that since the video came out, a couple of let's just call them fanboys or something, watched the video and went there to replicate the stuff that he did in this video, and some of them actually died there. So it's really it's a fucked up spot. And he also told me a story of Renat, who went to the spot, and he actually fell down one of these gaps and was fine.
Damn, because he's a cat.
Yeah, because he's a fucking cat.
So our feeling about him was right. He can survive. Like
He can. Yeah.
But
what?
The fact that there's fanboys dying from trying something, I think is crazy.
Yeah, wow, that is what a story. Super crazy.
So that's the mental side of Vlad. But
and you don't notice.
Yeah, he was also gym-wise crazy. Yeah, let's watch Acro Vlad.
Acro Vlad.
Oh yes, this one.
Yes. And they just need like a yoga mat, and then they feel safe. And then they'll do anything. Oh, nice.
Is this Konstantin Kaczulin?
Yes. Gotta come back to that guy too. Wow.
Oh. Yeah, he was good with layouts.
And landings. And style.
He's also wearing a turtleneck.
Yeah.
He's just pulling it off as well.
Yeah, he's making it cool. But yeah, he's definitely one of the guys that stood out for me, him and Renat. They had like something special.
I feel like what they did have in common is this very artsy approach. Yeah. Like also in the video editing, and really focused on making it really look like one art piece and not just the jumps. Yeah.
So we didn't talk so much about he could do huge things.
Yeah.
Because he had so much style and all this, but he could also do. He was like, I remember him as doing like big running prees and running cats.
Parkour wise, the best, like in terms of scale and.
I think he's the one I think the most of parkour when
Yeah, I remember this. When we saw this, it was like completely mind blowing. This cat leap, and it's still
completely mind blowing. I wonder how far it is.
Yeah.
I remember that we knew this guy only from this video, and he was like the character next to Vlad Zimakoff, unimportant.
Sidekick,
And then at some point we saw that he also did that cat leap, like on his channel, and then it was like mind blowing. Whoa, there's another guy on Vlad's level.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you sure?
I don't think I've seen it. It could be
like
one of the
99% sure.
Maybe it's one of the deleted Oleg videos.
I want to go into that 1%.
Okay. I will search my hard drives and see if I find something of it.
Yeah.
The thing with Oleg Cricket is he deleted all his videos.
Yeah. Maybe
because he took a different turn in his career.
Was a crazy guy.
Yeah.
Really clean. I don't remember because I haven't seen it, so I just remember he had like a really clean style.
He also had a very light style. Like
very light.
Very
also touch as well.
Yeah.
Do I remember correctly? Was it him that did like a back handspring roof gap? I think so, right? Like two roof. Maybe I'm wrong, but like
I don't remember
two roofs, like big gap in between, and he would do back handspring over to like another building.
I can definitely see.
I think it was him.
Quite possibly.
Crazy.
It was kind of like super high level parkour, and maybe also already next level precision, because I feel like he was on English level stick wise, and I remember like a few clips from like huge concretes, and he did them usually in like Fayus, I think.
Really?
At least there was a phase where he trained in Fayus. There was this like one gym video where he had like the pink socks.
I remember a gym where he's on the tramp mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and super soft landing. I mean, it's mats and the tramp and everything, but you can tell anyway that his landings are just
I make it, not the public. I tell the DJs what to do. Understand?
Bar, black sheep, rockstar, rap G, making up though to own a black card. That's me. I've been getting
really soft.
And again, a lot of people would not know that he was like one of the best. He was up there, like the same level.
Yeah,
and people just like, that's the guy that doing like rooftop viral stuff. Because he did take a turn, right? At some point.
That was at some later point. He basically, you could say he invented like the parkour viral thing with the like deadly clips, basically. And
then he went into more model stuff after that. Yeah, he had some phases, but
I think he was the first parkour person to have like 1 million followers on Instagram.
I think so. Yeah.
Really?
I think
so.
I don't know.
But not really doing parkour, like doing like hoverboard or stuff.
Yeah, he did basically dangerous things.
But a parkour guy still.
I mean, in the beginning, like when he was in this transition phase, he did do a lot of parkour also on the roofs, and he was jumping to like weird triangle things really high up. Yeah. But then at some point it became just I don't know. Stunts.
Do you remember this video where he did like the strides on the beams on like a skyscraper, and the last one was like a running stick, and he does it several times, like and also like with a crane and like undershooting and laying sideways.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think like from the new stuff, rooftop stuff, which I was not the biggest fan of. Most people probably not. But he did like the slide he did like on a skyscraper, and he did like a big slide. Like how mental and still technically that was insane.
That was insane.
But then he did like another thing that I think was a little bit stupid. Like he had like a model, and she was on the edge, and he did like a wall flip on her back, and she had to not fall over the edge. And I was just like, I feel like
it was definitely like sensationalist.
She had a lot of trust in him. That's for sure.
But also, like, I think that was already kind of after the golden era.
For sure. Yeah, it was. What about Shade?
Shade,
we
gotta talk about Shade.
I feel like there's, I don't know if you could say it, but it feels like there are several creativity masters, but he was definitely one of them.
Yeah,
Pasha could also be one of them.
Definitely,
But I think also Shade, he would like go to like just one spot, one slanted wall, one this, and just do 100 or 1,000 different tricks.
Yeah, his variety and his, I guess, willingness to explore like down every little avenue on every specific type of obstacle.
And maybe he was in like a shitty city, so not the best spot, so he just had to become super creative.
Maybe, yeah. I remember he had like a phase where he posted on YouTube like people post on Instagram today. So almost every day there was a YouTube video, and he called it archives with the date to it.
Insane.
For years, basically.
And he was just always like coming up with variations. Always. Like in every video there was something fresh, something new, a different variation.
Maybe we could watch Piece of Pipe.
Sounds good.
It's like the most basic obstacle you could imagine, but there's so much variety.
I think also he was the first I saw do a roll on a rail, like in height.
I want to
roll on a rail. maybe he invented pole dancing. And I don't know, I think he was just like, the vibe he had, he was just like a street kid, right? He didn't do, I have no idea, I'm just guessing, but he didn't look like a gymnast, just like a street kid, just every day just learning more and more, and just come so good.
Definitely no gymnast form, for sure.
Did he just do like a side flip?
It's like, seeing this, that was like a completely different training style to Europe in general.
If he was doing that now, people would be like, "What? Who is that? He's so creative."
Yeah.
He did that 15 years ago. Wow, that's crazy. Almost catching it.
I think what stood out with Shade was over his movement was like he like emitted like a joy and like pleasure to be moving.
Playing, right?
It was that vibe, like that enjoyment that shone brighter than anything.
The playing mindset.
Very unserious.
He also had like a lot of videos in like abandoned buildings. Remember those?
Yeah.
Like somewhere in like the forest or just like some abandoned buildings doing gaps and stuff. A little bit different from what he was doing there.
Maybe that came a little bit later. Wouldn't you agree? That in the beginning it was a lot of maybe from the parkour side wall runs. He had crazy wall runs. And Shade is also the only guy who's allowed a non-symmetric climb up.
Still up to this day. I feel also like Shade was like already known in that area, like in Russia. So I guess a lot of the other people that came later were probably inspired by him also to some degree.
Yeah, because he had videos in 2007.
I wonder how long he trains. Maybe 20 years or longer.
It kind of, I never talked to him about that, but it kind of looks like the way he plays. Maybe he's really one of those people who just didn't stop. I don't know. But from his style, it kind of looks like it, that he didn't care so much about proper technique, but just about having fun and exploring what is possible.
Another standout video was his 2011 like showreel.
No, that's not McCreary.
And these ones just look like completely improvised.
Crazy. I can see the joy what you meant.
But who was the first to do the like handspring on the wall?
Probably him.
I feel like when I saw it, I was like, oh, somebody did it in height as well. With like a drop.
Beautiful layout there as well.
There's the wall runs.
He has symmetric camera.
He makes it work.
Crazy. Line concept from another world. Sick.
Yeah, here he's doing like lines, you know, like a little bit Vlad, kind of like running a bit. Something else.
There's no comparable style now today. Is there someone? No one comes to my mind.
I feel like everybody was inspired by him.
Loosest of limbs.
Yeah, true. Yeah, he has this unique lâché tech where he splits his leg.
Wow. And remember there was always characters in his videos from like they were not so known. I think they were from his town. They were not as good as him, but also doing like cool shit. So every time he had like videos from his town, they were like, you would remember all the
friends.
The friends. Yeah, I think he had like a whole community around him.
Look how loose all of his limbs are.
Yeah.
It looks like a given.
Yeah, I kind of see a lot of Pasha influence, or maybe it's the other way around.
I guess
the other way around.
I guess, but maybe parallel.
Yeah.
Sick. It's really a perfect example for anti-perfectionist. So Jannis can learn something from Shade.
I can definitely appreciate. Like, it's not that.
Well, he can also learn something from you. It's not one way.
Also like theatric.
There's Jacob vibes to me.
Yeah.
Him and Bite, they were like a perfect duo. They would make so many good videos together.
What?
I wanna training with you.
Never!
And I feel like when I come up with stuff when I'm being creative and I'm like, oh, I don't remember seeing this combo, and then probably I can find like Shay doing it a long time ago.
Yeah.
And sometimes I see some of his old videos like randomly, and like, oh, I thought like I came up with that idea. Okay, I didn't. I subconsciously it was in I saw it when I was younger, and then because he's done almost everything, right?
Yeah,
and they forget about it. That's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like for people stuck, for if they're searching like new ideas or inspiration,
yes,
Shade,
watch these. Like,
exactly.
go down the rabbit hole of all these videos.
Or just watch Out of Time for the 912th time, and you will still find something.
Yeah, a gold mine.
I would have a good refreshment after like playful. Maybe Bite.
Give me reasons to believe.
If I go Red Bull, I will be the first.
She's getting so tired up there from practicing, but she's having so much fun, she just can't. Oh yes, that was very creative. Oh, doing the splits. And it's tricks, look at that. As he changed complete directions. I hope we get a Regan powerful. Oh, look at gonna throw some big stuff right now. Dive. Oh, wow.
That's all.
He was built different.
He was different. It was, how would you call it? Kamikaze style?
Yeah, 100%.
Pain style?
Yeah. Master at that.
And I feel like I don't know anyone, like, it feels like he really does not give a fuck. Like,
exactly, yeah.
And I don't feel that from anyone else. Like, it really seems he just doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You would give him a sketchy idea, he's okay to find out like what will happen.
Yeah. But also how he's looking when he's moving, it looks like he's not carrying
he's not
anything.
trying.
Yeah, he's not
just,
trying.
I feel like maybe he was not as like athletic gifted as some of the others, but he would just like find something that then nobody else could do or would do. Some people are flexible and like he has like a more crooked style, but he's just owning up to it. And it's I remember it was inspiring me. He was inspiring me so much because I felt like also I'm not like a gymnast. I don't have this perfect style, and he just had like maybe one of the most unique styles. Who is moving like him, right?
No, but that's the thing about all of these people.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I think that's also what kind of separates the Russian or Eastern Europe kind of area from like Spain or England at the time, where they were just so different from one person to the other.
They all knew each other, and there's also videos where all of these characters are kind of appearing, but they still were like complete movement individuals.
Yeah. And imagine how much better they become by training. Like if I want to become better at flips, I train with you guys and like this and that.
Yeah,
and
true.
when they train together and all their friends have different styles, so you teach me this, I teach you that.
Yeah.
And it was maybe the perfect environment for the golden age to just like.
Maybe
if
it was
they're all the same, how would you get like all the broad like the skill set of everything that was within?
Yeah.
And then we're still training together, and still they didn't like the styles didn't like converge to something.
True, yeah.
So far apart.
Maybe it was really a unique moment in time where everything fitted together.
I think so. And Bite he had like the death rolls, like crazy rolls, but then also he was like super creative, like his bar work. I loved his bar work, like monkey style on the bars. And then in the competitions he would do like super creative flow stuff on the bars. And then when he like I don't know what to do, he would just go to the highest point and just do like a roll.
I think we should watch this video.
Just the intro of this video, the first move. I love that so much.
This one was like mind-blowing at that time.
Yeah. He inspired me so much to also just go deep on rolls.
And also the aesthetic of this video as well.
This was like high quality.
So unique.
maybe like the sketch master. This is cool. Let's see. Roll the days. They should study this guy.
What is this?
Yeah. I like the cut there. I don't know if it over-rotated the roll. And like, he looks like a really scary guy, right? Scary looking guy, super strong tattoos and this and that. But he had like a lot of comedy in his stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
So he would always like make you laugh, I think.
Wow. He probably looked at the shot. Yeah, we're gonna take it. He didn't care about the side flip.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was
Beautiful.
It was definitely different.
I feel if this would come out today, it would have like similar reactions.
Yeah,
I think because
it would be a hit.
It's still.
Did you see the video? Like what is it, like Life in a Day, where he's like going in, you just following him for a day in maybe Moscow or something, and he goes in, steal a bread, go up to the roof, eat it, chill.
Yeah.
It was a vibe.
That was probably his lifestyle, or it was just
that's-
staged. But
Maybe,
it didn't look like that.
It doesn't look like
also,
that.
he gets like before like money from the fountain, you know, where people throw in
true.
money. It looks like a total
I think
bum life.
Yeah. Okay, so the video is called First Place on Competition.
And those like the Russian competitions were also just crazy.
He took that so well.
It's the most perfect thing.
I really feel like most was improv.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, it looks like it. And he was just willing to do stuff that nobody wanted to do.
Yeah.
Sick. That was a guy.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know also what he's doing now.
He's a male stripper or what it is, but it's like an interesting turn of events. Maybe it was just, I just saw some clip and heard like, you know, random rumors and stuff like that, but it's like it's interesting.
And in between there was like a video where he built like his own bar setup in the backyard.
Yes. Yeah.
You remember? Where he had like a cowboy hat and a straw in his mouth.
Yeah, he was like...
There were also from Russia several like cinematic projects. Like if you think about the one where Byte has the blindfold on.
Where he does the huge drop.
Which might have been fake.
I think so.
And there was another one like a super old one.
Did you guys see the True Parkour or something like?
Yeah,
they did like from a there. True project. That was really cool, and there were several places. I think they went to like Tunisia or stuff like. They were like around.
Yeah. Cool. It's where Zell is in with the laptop in the cave.
Yeah, exactly. But it took me a long time to. Oh, this is that guy. It took me many years.
Exactly same.
Because that
was like super old, like 2008 maybe. We didn't have Pasha for now.
Let's go to Pasha, baby.
Стена абсолютно кривая, да, видите, вот такая же кривая, как и мое лицо в данный момент, но это не важно. Да, она неровная, видите, неровная, она кривая. Да. Что?
I mean,
yeah, Pasha obviously is like,
yeah,
still to this day, like for the past
to this day, and already
20 years or 15 years at least.
Yeah,
and still active.
He's still pioneering.
Yeah.
And already at that point, it's pretty much perfection. Like
his brain, he's like a creativity master. Like insane how many moves. Like how do you forget and then you can remember learn some new stuff. I don't get it.
I think he had a similar training style with than as Shade.
Yeah.
Like he also, there used to be these videos of him doing like on the, I remember specifically the car wheel or the tractor wheel in the floor.
The tire and
there's also
rail.
one with just one bar.
Yeah.
When he's playing around, and that the video of Shade before reminded me of that as well.
Exactly.
So
like both of them really just played around.
He might be like a fusion of like creativity of Shade with the smoothness of Renat. Even though with a completely different vibe, minus the parkour, like in the classical.
You think it was boring for him, like too linear or something?
Maybe.
Because surely he's good if he wanted to do parkour, I'm sure.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
But you don't see a single precision of him, I think.
Yeah, true, you're right.
It's just a completely different part of parkour. Yeah. But like completely overpowered.
Completely overpowered,
yeah.
But I feel like it's not quite the softness of Renat. Like, I wouldn't watch a video of Pasha running.
Yeah, I take that back. Yeah. But there's a funny thing about Pasha's running. I totally agree. No one can run like Renat. But when Pasha runs, it looks like ice skating. And you know what I mean? Maybe we should put up some clips. And it looks exactly like Oleg Vorslav's running. Because also he's ice skating. And I heard, I don't know who told me that, but apparently, because like Oleg Vorslav was like the major influence for Pasha, because also they're from the same city.
Maybe it's the Latvian running?
What?
Latvian running?
I don't know.
Yeah, I remember like when I was in my GOP fanboy phase, that I kind of try to run like Foski or try to really mimic what he's doing.
I tried to run like Renat.
It
didn't work out.
It didn't work out. But I feel like if you're going through these phases, something sticks, I think.
Probably.
Something is like being incorporated in your style, and then once you are this like combination of all the like of yourself, obviously, but also of all the influences that you've had.
Do you think Shade and Pasha train together because they have like some similarities?
Shade and Pasha?
Yeah.
I must have at some point.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I don't remember.
But they're just like the styles. They're like both. I would say both creativity masters. So good.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I feel like Pasha is a little more. I can't find a better way to frame it. A little more on the hard trick side. Shade was a lot, like maybe more playing and rolling and not so much airtime. And then Pasha really has these moments where he's like really a lot of impact, a lot of airtime.
And Shade had more parkour in his as well.
Pasha definitely has like, he covers a lot of aspects. Like where other people you can point out what's exactly their main thing. For Pasha he's like covering so much. He's really like an all-rounder.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's really his innovation. He came up with a move so often, like
all the time.
But and then so many also just stuck. Like are now a thing in the parkour world.
Should we watch like a Pasha video? Maybe one of the old ones with him and Stas, and then we can get into Stas.
We could start with Pasha Flow.
Oh yeah, the wheel one.
Yeah.
Perfect. 1 minute with impact.
Yeah, I feel like they both have like a very like playing mindset. Like, finding. That's really sweet.
Take a second chance on me, 'cause I know that you wanna dance.
I think Pasha inspired Jason Paul a lot. That's just a guess, but the style I see like Jason Paul does a lot of the after you land, add like 3 spins and makes it look like very smooth.
Which person who trained at the time was not inspired by Pasha?
Yeah.
Wow, it's so short.
It's so short. It's
so good.
Yeah. Is that which one is that?
There was the ice skating.
Yeah, ice. Yeah, you're so right actually. That's so good.
So much Pasha in all of the movements, right?
Yeah.
That was the first thing you
Yeah, it's true. They just have like tires, wheels, some bars, some stones, benches. And that's probably why both of them are like some of the most creative movers.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what would have happened if all of these people would have been in European cities.
Yeah. But I feel like definitely they were limited. A lot of those guys were like limited by environment, like lack of a lot of opportunities with spots.
Yeah.
Limitation, like it's like cliche, but it's so true. Limitation.
And I don't know if I would even call it a limitation because, for example, at least in Munich, but I think in general in Central Europe, you don't have a lot of these places where they have bars all over the place.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true too. It's a different kind of sport.
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
But what they don't have is like a lot of walls together. It's more like a random arrangement of little objects or like playground stuff.
It's very simplistic.
And that also explains why they are like have this line concept of like running in between.
Could be.
Yeah.
They have to run a lot.
They have to run to get to the next obstacle.
Yeah, true. And then they chose
and they
the
don't,
ice skate.
or at least they don't show it. They don't have a lot of like walls together, but also like nice with like 90-degree edges where you could and need to land properly and stuff. So
yes, we've covered Pasha.
Should we
but
move on to
is,
Stas?
Yeah.
Yes.
He was definitely a hard trick innovator.
Yeah,
hard creative with super advanced stuff. I just think of the swing looser 1.5 to the wall
to the wall.
Yeah. What I really like about Stas and what I don't like so much about Eric is that Stas really uses the environment, and Eric is like the platform a little bit.
Yeah.
But Stas really interacts with the environment, and I also like that he's willing to put like skin in the game. He knows like when I'm 360 dive rolling through these streets, I'm gonna get scratches, but he's going for it anyway. And I feel like Pasha would probably not do that. He's like more of the clean side, and for Stas it's fine if it's a little bit dirty.
Yeah, he's a bit on the stunt side.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So now we're in the hard trick area. We can maybe
but he's really creative, but just with more advanced and sketchy stuff that could go wrong, but not just like simple idea. He finds like who think about that idea, but then with like consequences and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think he was still
the one where he has this intro of
where he does the 180 palm flip,
and then maybe we could transition to Eric.
It's like a transition from Shade to Pasha to Stas to Eric kind of.
Yeah. So interesting that they all have like different.
But it seems like we're now like this retrospectively discovering what spaces on the map they occupy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, you could do the same thing with English people or like of that phase.
You're gonna have to animate like a map now.
And I remember he's also like a role master. So many.
Yes.
Yeah.
So good.
Maybe that's something that I really like about him as well, because roles are just so nice.
Yeah, I agree.
Nice element.
The bridge. Yeah, that's so crazy. Vlad is so cool. His like he had some Red Bull submission videos. Crazy. This one.
Wow.
That's my favorite.
Also, this one.
Yeah. It's so hard. And I feel like he has a clip also where he just lands on his ass or something.
Oh, from the dash bomb, I remember. Yeah.
And then he must have gone again.
Yeah. Apparently.
Boom. Super hot stuff.
Wow. Yeah, it's so true what you said. It's stunty.
Yeah. So in this sense, he's kind of also a little bit similar to Bite, because Bite also has the stunt thing.
Yeah.
Just like more technical, I guess.
Yeah.
Very technical, actually.
Yeah, way more. Yeah, on the flip side. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sick.
Wow.
I guess we will have to mention Eric now. If we're in the hot trick zone.
Of course.
Let's
because
bring in the Mukameshkin.
I feel like Eric was like the big brother of the golden era. He was like the big brother of all the other guys.
Maybe, yeah.
He felt like that.
Absolute pioneer of hard tricking. I think he did all the double flips like probably 5, 6, 7 years before anyone even thought about doing it.
Yeah.
And it was like just not graspable, like what the fuck is going on?
I felt like he could do every flip. There was not a flip he learned every flip.
Yeah.
If he just went high enough, he could do any flip. And his like air awareness, like
everything double.
Yeah.
But also he never showed it, or rarely, but also parkour wise.
It always looked a bit sketchy though. Or not sketchy, but a bit like
not refined.
Not fine-tuned in the parkour world. Yeah.
And definitely had also he did also like the stunty side of things. Like there's this video where he did a 3-story roof gap, even though it's on mats. If you look exactly, it's maybe 2 layers of mats.
And it's not proper mats. It's like
it's
Russian mats.
It's fucking raining.
Yeah.
As well.
That's straight up flying.
He took it so well, even though there's mats, but
You know there was another guy doing it as well, right? And that's do you know this is like the niche guy with the stick? I think. He did it as well.
Sick.
If I remember, maybe I'm mistaking somebody, but I think that's how I remember it. That he did it as well, and he's the guy now that's super creative with like a stick and doing Parkour with that. Very interesting. But but with the crazy hair, we've got to talk about his crazy hair.
Oh yeah,
that one as well. Iconic. I really like that hair. It's like so iconic. When he did the double flips and the yellow hair would just go like this. It's crazy.
Yeah, should we watch another one of his older videos?
Yeah, definitely. Or maybe even like a Red Bull submission because he was going hard on concrete.
But these were later, right?
That was probably later, but he was really pushing it.
2010 was a really big one, but then the hard tricks time,
which was also to the latter end.
Of them.
Yeah.
It was what, 2014, 15.
Yeah.
And can we just take a moment to appreciate his tuck technique? How beautiful it was.
Yeah.
Like this super wide.
Tuck.
Wow.
That was like the most matrix jump ever.
Wow. What did we already see?
Goes hard.
He did all the double flips.
Yeah.
All the double flips.
Parkour.
Also, this is fucking sick.
Yeah. I mean, all of this is technical.
Yeah, for sure.
That's horrible.
And this is 2010, right? So that's the very, very early.
Yeah. Early golden phase.
This car.
Wow. Sick.
He was pushing it, you know? He was not just playing around, he was pushing it.
Can you say he was like the first hard tricker in parkour? Actually, Bjarke Helden might have also been one of the first ones.
I mean, to be fair, Ryan Doyle.
True.
2007.
Yeah.
Crazy Park
Is
video.
it 2007?
2007.
No, I think so.
Really?
Yeah, Come Gainer,
Okay.
Wall Gainer.
No.
Can't believe it. We can check it out. Could be 2009.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Yeah.
But he's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
Sure.
A lot of people would say he's the first hard tricker.
Yeah. I think he inspired people like Koleshnikov and stuff like that. I trained with Eric like 1 or 2 days in Copenhagen after the golden era, maybe like 16, 18 or something. But he was doing like legit parkour stuff. Parkour challenges with like the Danish people that primarily do parkour.
I heard that he's randomly super good at speedruns. Like I heard that from Pedro Salgado, who is also super good in speedruns, and he says he can't win against Eric. So this is 4 years after the video we just saw, where the hard trick thing was already progressed. And there's another friend in this video that used to be in Shade's videos. I don't remember his name. Do you guys know?
When I'm seeing him, maybe.
I will point it out if he's there.
It's such a fucking badass video.
Yeah.
Just like one after the other.
Here is the guy.
Yeah, I remember. That's like always in Shade's videos.
Yeah.
And he was also really good.
I remember, but I don't.
They were just like 3 guys after each other throwing full in back out. But here's another character, Ilyoshny. He's still active today. Also very hard trick oriented. I think we've seen enough, right? All right, maybe we need a little break here. I know it's a lot of input, so I'm just gonna tell you a few stats about the video. It took me around 3.5 weeks of full-time editing, and I calculated that it must have been around 140 hours. I searched through so many videos and I had to go down my old liked lists of 10 years ago or 15 years ago. I downloaded 248 videos to cut out the right snippets and put them at the right spot. And as you can imagine, no one pays me because also I'm not a YouTuber. This channel is not monetized and probably will never make money. So I really do this purely for the love of our sport and culture. So if you like this video so far and appreciate it and find value in it, you might consider to donate a little bit on the PayPal link I put in the description. Also, I want to make a little advertisement for the clothing brand of Lisa and me, which is called Matma. It's a very illustration-based clothing brand. It doesn't necessarily have to do anything with parkour. It's just parkour people wearing it so far, obviously. So check it out, tell your friends. By the way, it's always produced with organic fabric and with high fair trade standards. All right, that's it. Let's continue with the video. There's a lot of good stuff coming.
Yeah. Should we get into maybe Ivan?
Ivan?
Ivan.
Yeah.
We need to.
Yeah, we need to
talk about him as well.
Yeah.
He was a b-boy style.
Yeah.
Ukrainian, I think, right?
Yeah.
Also
gymnastics oriented. I'd say.
And that was like after the golden era, but it was fun. Then he gained a lot of weight, then he lost it, and then he gained again, but that was after. But that was just like random, and he would still do the tricks, which was pretty cool.
There was like a phase, he did a yearly compilation, and each year got like crazier and crazier, and it was always like 10 or 15 minutes long.
He was also good with like tumbling and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I think he has a breakdance and gymnastics background.
Yeah. That's what it looks like.
And he also had like a very cool the breakdance style, dancing in between, a lot of attitude, and he had a lot of tricks just like from the hit, like handsprings from the hit and stuff. Crazy stuff on concrete.
Yeah.
Another character that was just implementing like breakdance or another discipline.
Yeah, definitely like his own style again. Completely. Are there like any specific videos?
Okay, Ivan Savchuk solo 2013.
Yeah.
Absolute mad thing.
Wow, I haven't seen his videos in a really long time.
Wow. Super cool.
Wow. Was that a double A first?
Yes.
Oh, and he did this precision, right? 3 on the state of the beginning.
Whoa, that was a triple.
Yeah, but it was cut.
Switch walk. Like 2.
Getting hooked by a wall.
It's really rough, eh?
Yeah.
What?
They're all connected.
Wow, that's crazy. Was he the first parkour b-boy?
I feel like Tim Sheaf already existed then.
Yeah.
But I guess he was a proper b-boy, like with dancing and...
So you can also see he never shook his gymnastics roots.
You can definitely see his gymnast posture. It's kind of a little bit sticky, like a stick. It goes on like this, and you can go like there's several of these kind of videos.
It's an absolute unique style, like uncomparable to anybody else. Even today, there's no one.
No,
very gymnasty. Not my favorite as a personal taste, but very very unique.
But I remember I was like fully addicted to his videos, and there's a few moments I remember where I played 100 times. I don't know.
I just remember these little b-boy steps in between lines. He just has like a little shuffle, like even that
amazing.
Like, wow.
There's one other guy I want to mention. He was never like super known, especially not in Europe. Probably in Russia. It was the guy Vitali Berezhnoi. And he was also unique. I think his runs were fully improvised. Like he has several videos where I think it's just improv runs.
Yeah.
Like there's one especially where he's on the table tennis spot. Like it's a playground.
Is it with Renat as well?
No, it's not. He has one with Renat.
Yeah.
It's the guy with the kind of long hair, right?
Yeah.
It was really good.
You did train with him at some point, right?
Yeah, I met him at least twice.
You have a good story?
No, chill guy to hang out. Smokes a lot of cigarettes. And he told me that Renat also smokes, and it really shook my world. Because I thought Renat is like an enlightened monk in the forest. There's this gym video of Vitali.
Yes.
I think that was the thing which
that's
made
the
it.
video I remember.
Yeah. But you can see like it had it has now 1,200 clicks, so I guess it's the amount that it had then. So pretty unknown. But
especially in comparison to like Bite and Shade with like 100,000 views plus.
Yeah. So I guess he was an underdog, but
nonetheless represented that era.
Definitely. And there's a random side fact. He's some kind of arm wrestling champion. I don't know in what kind of thing, but apparently no one can beat him in arm wrestling.
Except for Joe Hugard.
Can he?
For sure. Joe Hugard is the Danish champion, right?
Really?
He's Danish champion.
So that's 2011, pretty early now. So he definitely also has some kind of like energy beyond the technical.
Yeah. Martial artsy.
Yeah, martial artsy. Yeah.
Very smooth style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he tell you that he improvised most of his runs, or is that just?
No, you can just see it. Yeah. But also, I remember we were training, and it was always like he wanted to do a thing, but then he just kept going with something, and so I'm pretty sure. I think he's really one of my absolute favorites from that period. Wow.
Because of his aura, or what?
No, it's like I don't know. I think it's the organic flow. It's fucking sick. Also, I like the way he ends, like this martial arts stances kind of thing.
Very confident.
Yeah. It's like, I have finished.
That's my cat, by the way.
Yours?
Yeah, it's my cat. Like, we met and he liked my cap so much and asked if he can have it.
And you said yes.
Yeah, I just gave it to him.
Take everything from me.
That's so
Can I have it?
I don't know how it happened, but... Here it is. We gotta watch it. I watched this so many times.
Yeah, I remember this. Get like a Shaolin vibe or something, right?
Yeah.
And he has that Shade and Pasha playfulness, where like just throwing yourself at something and then see the outcome. Wow, this is so nice.
Beautiful.
This under-rotated inward side flips.
It's so beautiful, no? Like,
I think, what maybe really stands out in this era is this kind of improvised style, where you are in positions where you usually don't get to, or you don't aim for these positions, where you under-rotate something, but because people were like improvising a lot, at least, maybe not only, but a lot of improvisation, so they would keep going, and that just adds like so much flavor. And I think we all know it, that sometimes the best clips or the best stuff happens when something doesn't fully go to plan, and you're like in a weird situation and still recover it really well.
Absolutely.
Also, like the way he edits it, sometimes there's just like a second of a run because exactly that happened. Like something happened, he liked it, and so it came in the video. But imagine, like, what a different kind of session. He goes there and he just runs up and down and sees what happens. Like,
and films a lot, and then probably just takes the stuff where something happened, not something that was like pre-calculated.
I was always amazed how they always seem to have friends who are willing to just spend the day filming them.
True.
You know, like this. I don't know how long this took to film, but a few hours. Someone comes through with a camera.
See, this is on the channel of Andre. I think they had also videos together. So he had at least one training buddy.
I think we definitely gotta talk about Selim.
So, yeah. Okay. We gotta do justice to the last characters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Zel.
Yes.
Zelimkhan Jabrailov.
Yeah, only
if I spell it right.
Only
Probably not.
He was really good. Also, again, another one with a really unique style.
Definitely.
He was one of my favorites.
If I remember correctly, he was also maybe like a little bit like Stas on the stunty side of things. He was sandy for sure. And he also did a lot of like spot interaction things. I remember like gainer prees and stuff, like running gainer prees.
Flip precisions. He was doing really innovative flip precisions. And he did like some crazy con gainer fucked up stuff.
He did
confront prees.
Underbars, like running underbars
the
through
360
these ladders. 360, yeah. 360, running 360 underbar.
Running 360 underbar.
Yes.
Like such a thin underbar.
Yeah, he also definitely has like skin in the game in that sense. He really, he's not afraid to get hurt. If something speaks to him, he wants to get it done.
Yeah, like in the same way, like Bite was also doing crazy shit, and I was like, he's so cool, and he was also.
What stood out for me was his like high frequency flow. He was faster than everyone. He was like this all the time, and also with the animalistic, but like a bit more hectic.
He always had the. He was like a hip hop pirate or something. Super fast.
Yeah,
but hectic in a good way.
Hectic
like
in a very
fitting way to his.
I think cool is like a good word for him. Like he was just moving in a cool way.
Also very parkoury.
There's this one clip of him where he does this fucking huge pre to the rail, like a huge drop
in a competition.
Right? Huge drop.
I think I've never seen a bigger drop pre to a rail ever. Still, and he healed it pretty well.
Yeah, he did it.
But the rail he was landing on was also like 2 meters in height. Something
it's absolutely
insane,
crazy. Yeah.
So he could do different stuff. I feel like he was not the best with like a twist and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then he just. Probably the same with like Vlad. Then he became really good at front flip and back flip variations. Yeah.
Like I was in Russia at a competition, and he was, I think, almost the only person that was talking to me or Bart. Maybe also language barrier, but Zel was like very talky. Like talked a lot.
I talk with him on Instagram as well. He seems like such a nice guy.
Yeah.
Come to Moscow, live with me, blah blah blah. He's a really nice guy. And I remember at some point because. I don't do so many flips now, and when I did flips, twisting was not something I was good at. Like I would always like twist in the takeoff, you know.
Yeah.
And I was posting it in the story, like how can I do it better? And he commented like, I have the same problem, bro. I do exactly the same thing. Like, So I don't think he gave me a tip, but like he was just, I can relate to that. It was like, really fun.
There was some Vlad.
Whoa! Yeah.
But the theme out nowadays is to do absolutely slap.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I remember that.
Whoa, intense.
So tightly
cut. He had a lot of
epic. Epic.
Yeah.
Is there anybody like moving similar to him
nowadays?
Yeah. Anybody that reminds you of him?
No one comes to my mind immediately.
It's weird because yesterday when we were talking about this podcast, we were saying that even though that was like such a diverse scene in that area at the time, we still think it's broader today in the sense that parkour has more aspects and more variety nowadays than back then. But I feel like a lot of these styles kind of, I mean, died out is maybe a bit harsh, but it's not really, you can't put a name of someone training today to assign to that style. Back then, and maybe it's kind of hard to do anyway because every style is individual at some point.
I think
but it's really hard to like
Yeah, I think it maybe filtered down into in some way. Like some elements trickle down.
Yeah. I think I absorbed definitely something of like, let's say the stances of Vitali or something.
Yeah.
If you consume a lot of videos and you will incorporate some stuff of them.
Yeah. Definitely.
And you can see it also when people train a lot together or something, they develop a similar style.
Yeah.
At least usually that's how it goes. Not for
also
these people though.
Similar training style. That's like the main thing to be able to train together.
For example, you and Lisa, you kind of have to admit that it's similar to some extent.
Yeah.
Because you just hang out a lot and train together.
Before we come to Cherepko, I'm a total fanboy of Cherepko.
Yeah.
And I think he's like a good closing chapter of this golden era, because it feels like after him there was no one really blowing up from that area.
Or only people that we talked about. Anyway,
or we just don't know them, but I feel like the era ended with him, where those people had like a major impact on the scene.
Yeah.
So I think before we should get to Cherepko, we should drop a few names. For example, someone that comes to my mind is Slava Petin.
Yeah.
He was definitely like a huge influence, and he was one of the first guys who did like really this dancey parkour.
Yeah.
But before that, he was actually like pretty into hard stuff. There was one video I remember with these snow goons in the background. That was an absolute milestone in parkour, I think.
Nothing comes to mind. Snow goons.
I will put a snippet here.
Yeah.
Watching the villain, they see me rising with the rebels to the top of the building. Being stuck down at the bottom is the ride that's filling desolate souls with vodka that's swilling, popping a pillin', jealousy swirling in the eyes.
Okay, then we should also mention Jannis Schauer, who also lived like Slava Petin in Latvia. He was just a brilliant mover.
Also, was Dennis Pichukov?
Yeah, Dennis Pichukov is definitely a shout out. I feel like he's also maybe kind of similar like Zell and Stas in the things that he was doing. A lot of like kind of high consequence flippy stuff. Also very much a lot of spot interaction. But one thing I want to mention, I think he really brought the trapdoors or punchbacks or however you want to call it to a next level. Like with really far ones, with ones where there's like you gotta hit like just a ledge where there's no wall where you can put your feet anywhere, but we have to put your foot precisely to one object and stuff like that. So that was something that really, I don't know, stuck to me from him.
Also, he was pushing really front flips to a height. I remember doing him some front flip off a bridge, or he did several front flips, but that was like one major feature. And I think he had a funny flow. It was like the opposite of Cell. It was a bit heavier and like slower, but
a bit lanky as well. Like looks like a huge guy.
He must be heavy probably.
think maybe Sheva.
Sheva, yeah.
Because I feel like in that era there was no women that were sticking out with like a completely unique style, or let's say.
Yeah.
And she was just taking, I don't know, like splits.
Yeah.
On the wall, backflip.
Yeah,
off.
I remember.
Yeah. But I feel like her main phase also came a little bit later when she like really became known.
Yeah, that's true.
Or maybe we just didn't see it. She didn't appear in so many videos.
Yeah.
In some of Shade's videos.
Yeah, you're right. It was more to the
But I think even in this phase, Sheva was absolutely pioneering the sport for the female community.
Yeah. What about the creator team? Is that what they're called?
Oh, Team Creator.
When was it? Because there were like a bunch of good people in there.
Yeah, they must be mentioned. It was like Sadedin Nuraliev.
Yeah.
Like one of the main guys.
He was so,
and then what was the Anton Mikenkov?
Yeah, Anton Minenkov.
Really beautiful style as well.
All of them were like crazy.
There's
there was one guy with tattoos. I don't remember his name.
That's Anton Minenkov.
Is that Minenkov?
I remember like specifically one scene of him where he does like a roof gap kind of thing, but onto a wall, like 360 running pretty. I remember when we saw that, it was like
But they
outrageous.
From Moscow as well.
I'm not sure.
And was maybe Nikita Teterev, you know, maybe also was part of the team. I'm not sure.
Is he
maybe
the one that is he the one that is in LA now with the Pasha?
Yes, he was the one joining Cirque du Soleil at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe with Pasha, I'm not sure.
Yeah. He has like really unique style.
Yeah.
Alexander Rusinov. Remember this guy?
I remember the name. Yeah.
He did this series called Dangerous Games 1, 2, 3, where he does like one-arm handstands on these like electricity towers that that are like random in forests.
He was like hanging off beams and shit.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
one arm and doing chin-ups and stuff.
Yeah. I think he had no connection with the rest of the scene. It seems to me, but he did always some things, controversial things.
Yeah, there was also this other guy with like
Mustang
same vibe, just hanging off really high things. Also with his girlfriend or some woman at some point where he just hold her by the hand off some really high thing. But there were a lot of crazy people from Russia.
There are so many that doesn't come to mind right now, but they were also a big part of it.
Yeah, I would like to mention the Savine brothers. Two brothers, very different styles, and what stuck to me was the one guy doing like very strong handstands, but so nicely incorporated into the runs.
Out of every variation.
Yeah.
As well.
Also like double conk downwards, catching in handstand, and I will see if I will find something with that.
I think we covered a large spectrum.
Konstantin Kachurin we didn't mention. We saw
Konstantin Kachurin.
Is that the Czech guy?
No, it's also Russian.
He did like
very flowy, like huge pants and
barefoot
flow on like a bar setup.
Always with some kind of like kung fu music, doing like Zen painting in between.
What was his name? Konstantin or something?
Kachurev, His videos always had a very specific vibe.
Also Alex Pro, also very
Alex Pro,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Also
he
has
was
a really cool video with Renat.
Yes.
True.
Yeah.
For the listeners.
Every video with Renat.
Alex Pro was the most Spanish Russian in my eyes.
I agree.
We were always talking about. He was like Goop with mixed with
he was probably
Russian.
Is that the same timeline?
I think so.
So he was probably
watching
watching some Spanish guys then maybe.
I think
Very cool.
Swim or Sing came out 2013. So
okay, so they were also really early.
Then there's this guy, Stranik was his name, I think. I would say he was more like on the calisthenics side. Most of his videos were basically like comedy. If you're interested in bar moves or just want to be entertained, check his channel out. Then just for completion, there was the guy Dima Korkut, very clean and a lot of double fulls.
Can't do anything, attitude I stick to gets me this candle. Lit in this wick of this candle's been lit by this candle. Him and them sick, this kid sick and dismantled. From the trench of Atlanta, Tennessee and
Mike Isayev, pretty hectic style, very tricking based and just clean, wild. Also worth a mention is Peter Zikin, very clean stuff.
On a sunny day, roller coaster and feed the weed engine on my runaway locomotive. All aboard the choo-choo train, get it left, hit it right, brother, use that flame. All aboard the choo-choo train, turn it up in your speakers, let the music bang. All aboard the choo-choo train.
And then there was this guy Dido Delian from Bulgaria, I think, and yeah, he was just mad. Then there was this team from, I think, Belarus. It had a funny title, 100% Crazy Jump. Also, they made like these street shows which had pretty gnarly things in it. Then there was this guy, Pavel Kashin. I loved his videos. They were too few because he tragically died. Rest in peace. Then there was this guy, Kirya Kolesnikov, a raw powerhouse.
Everybody get drunk in Detroit too, nigga. So loud, we fucked up. Let us in the club. One of y'all niggas gon' catch a slug. I'm so drunk, I can earn for a month. Any nigga pop shit, go to the trunk. D12 start shit, nigga come get us. 7 Mile running, wild niggas with us. Cause all my niggas is talking that shit. And got no problem with smacking no bitch. I have my wife cut your throat. Blunts, cans, that's all we...
And another one, Alexei Krog. Too good not to mention.
Yeah, I guess life is a bitch in your tip.
We didn't mention all the crazy guys.
Oh! бля! Месяц, 2013 год. Удачи тебе, Ванер.
Tonight, we dine in hell!
Double layer.
We have to talk about that.
Do you have? You were there.
I was there, yeah.
Not
really
when the double layer was done.
No. But you could still see his footprints in the ground.
And you saw them, or
yeah,
like crazy. I thought it's a myth.
No.
Legit.
After years, like the impact was so hard. That,
should we explain?
Well, I just put the clip in here.
Yeah.
I trained with him, like he.
The double layer guy.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, he's I mean, he just went nuts for this one clip. He's like a humble, normal guy, too, so not a complete maniac.
Yeah.
And he's really, really strong, really flexible. So if someone could take it, then it would be him.
I feel like there was this mysterious clip of this. It said, I think it said 11 meters front flip.
Yeah, it's
into
wood schnipsel.
Wood, yeah. With cut landing.
Yeah.
And it was the same guy, right?
The same guy, yeah.
They did the double layer.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently. Is it the same guy who did like the insane roof ledge stuff? Like hardcore mental? Where like I remember one time the one guy did like here's like a roof edge and a little bit like a meter below is something sticking out and here's like skyscraper and he did like an inward side onto that.
What?
And like landing this close to the edge. Okay, so the finisher, Cherepko. Maybe the last person of that golden era. He was coming up with a completely new style and it was kind of random, like just putting standing flips after each other in all kind of variations. Yeah. But he became so good at that at one point it was just mind-blowing.
It reminds me of George McGovern, like just like boom, boom.
Yeah.
But there were nobody doing flips just like him, right?
No,
not stacking. Like he was doing, like he was just stacking.
Yeah, he could just continue doing like 100 side flips in a row.
Ready to be a millionaire. I was ill prepared. I was prepared to be ill though. The skill was there. Beginning, it wasn't about the ends. It was about busting raps and standing for something. Fucking
this gym.
Yeah. Like you're happy, I'm fucking back again with another
his comp runs as well.
Yeah.
It ain't over till I say it's over.
Crazy runs.
Throw me to the wolves and close the gate up on the freedom. What'll happen to
Like, you can really tell how much power someone has if you see their front flip. That's all you need to know.
It's crazy. His line concept is different. He has 0 steps. There is no steps.
Yeah, it's all pliers.
It's just pliers.
Yeah, he's jumping.
Crazy.
Absolutely not.
The repetition is just so satisfying.
Yeah. Iconic.
I'm not a rapper, I'm an adapter. I can adjust. Plus, I can just walk up to a mic and just bust. So, floor's open if you'd like to discuss. Top 5 in this motherfucker, and if I don't make the cut, what like I give a fuck? I like this bitch off like I'm driving a truck to the side of a pump. 0 to 60, hopping and gunning like G-Unit without the hyphen. I'm hyping him up, and if that shit ever goes, it's not where my life's in a run. Now look like I might just give up. It might have struck me for bowing out. I ain't taking a pound, stabbing myself with a fucking knife.
To take that with one level
is... Cause I just shit it on the mic and I like getting cut. I get excited at the sight of my pleasure in a fight with a nut. Cause I'ma fight till I die, I win. But in the dust, it'll just make me what?
Wow. This is so mad. How much control also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do as soon as I get thrown in the booth, I speak. But my respect is overdue. I'm showing you the flow no one do. Cause I don't know no diploma for school. I quit. So there's nothing for me to fall back on. I know no other trade. So you better trade your fucking lives in for some toolboxes. Cause you never take my pride from me. It'll have to be pride from me.
And it was the first I saw doing the vertical pole.
Yeah, true, yeah.
I want you to leave. Cause this is something that I must use to succeed. And if you don't like me, then fuck you. Self-esteem must be fucking shooting through the roof. Cause trust me,
And then compare it to bikes and see how different they are.
Completely different.
Boom, 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 boom.
Wow, that's so high. Sick.
He ends with no flips, just parkour.
Yeah, he ends with a wall run.
Yeah. And the question is, what happened? Why is no one... Why did... I mean, I don't know if parkour died. Probably, of course it didn't die. I know a few people like that I follow. But it's not this level anymore and this versatility.
Maybe it is, but it's just not showcased to you as much. Because other videos are getting way more attention, way more views, and that's what's being shown to you. And maybe these underground beasts still...
I can't imagine that there's some Tereko running around.
Yeah, maybe
you would get the...
Yeah, I think it would break through.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something to do with the crossover with the era of GUP, because that was right towards the end, the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I don't know, attention crossed over into there. And
I think they were completely parallel.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little earlier this golden era, but pretty parallel from like 2013 on, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe what might also be a factor is that at that time, it kind of only just became a thing to make like real cool YouTube videos, and maybe these were just like the very first really good ones. So they just stuck with us, maybe. So if you would see a video like this today, maybe you would say, well, that's a cool video, but it wouldn't be worthy of having a podcast 15 years later.
Yeah. Well, but to sum it up, I guess we covered a lot of people.
Yeah.
And probably we forgot a few people.
Yeah,
who knows?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Sorry for that.
I feel like the most prominent figures who shaped this whole thing the most, I think we covered.
We covered them.
I'm sure there are still like some really good ones, but are they using Instagram or like there's so much probably going on, but
who knows?
It would be weird if it just died like that. But I don't see it. I just it's not being exposed to me.
I mean, maybe that was the era.
Yeah.
Like maybe that was it.
I mean, also
think about Spain.
True. I just wanted to say,
I mean, I can obviously think of a handful of people that stand out, but it's not the same as the GUP era.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it was just the YouTube golden era as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To some extent, definitely. What really maybe got stripped away is this spontaneous. I'm rotating something, but I'm just keeping going, and I think this maybe also partly due to competitions where you have to somehow rate execution, and then would then be a deduction or something.
Whereas I feel like that's kind of coming back into parkour now. This, improvised style almost, or acceptance to anything goes.
I feel like especially this Pasha shade training style, like one object trying everything, seems to be almost mainstream. Like it's at least accepted everywhere, and there's always a few people that are training this way.
Creativity is it's becoming kind of trendy right now, which it hadn't been for a long time, which is very cool to see.
Alright, that was it. I hope you learned something new about parkour. Just as a little reminder, if you appreciated this video, consider donating a little bit over the PayPal link in the description. Also check out Matma Clothing. And yeah, I've got nothing more to say. Goodbye.